Hey, what's up guys? I'm Follygon, and in this video I want to give you a little context before we just dove right into what we're doing. But essentially, I spent about an hour sculpting the other day with Shane Olson, a super talented stylized character artist. And essentially what we're going to do is just hang out and talk and spend this time for a little bit, and then at the end of our session, we're going to pass our sculpts off to each other and continue working on them. So he'll work on his for an hour, give it to me and I'll continue it, and then vice versa. And this is going to be the first one of these. We are working on a couple concepts by Luigi Lucarelli. You guys should definitely look him up and check out his amazing artwork as well as Shane. And yeah, that's essentially what's going on. I just wanted to give you guys some context before we just dove in directly to the video without anything else, because we didn't really do an intro or anything. We just kind of started talking and sculpting. So yeah, that's it. So yeah, let's go ahead and start it.
All right. So when I usually start, I start with just a sphere, but I do I block out my characters in simple shapes with this. I have this primitive brush.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I start with a sphere pretty much all the time as well, just because it's a very easy, simple shape. You know what? But because you said that, I feel like I need to be different and start with a cube. So I'm going to start with a cube just to switch things up. So here we go.
Head is a cube.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, I'm starting.
Let's go opposite.
Yeah, no, it's my cube. You don't try to copy me. All right. So typically when I start sculpting, you said you do just primitive shapes. I like that. Typically what I'll start doing is just grab a move brush and start yoinking all my geometry like crazy. Start trying to get that big old trapezoid of a head. But yeah, you don't get the luxury of starting with a cube. Not this time. Maybe next time.
Yeah. It's like making it harder on yourself.
Yeah, just a little
start
extra.
With the star.
Oh gosh, now that. Yeah, maybe next time. We'll see. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I usually put the jaw in with a separate piece. I know a lot of people would just take a sphere and just push it around.
That's me. I'm all about the sphere pushing.
That's what I started doing. But then I found that it was just easier to edit, like non-destructive, if I keep my pieces separate for as long as I can.
Right. I definitely use a ton of subtools once I actually start getting in and working, but at least in the beginning stages, I'm just like trying to get something on the canvas to actually reference what I can see, because that's what proportions are, right? You can't figure out proportions with just one thing. That's right. It doesn't make any sense. Proportions are.
That's what I tell all my students. I'm like, okay, you build react, or add react, because you can't measure from nothing.
Exactly.
You have to have something to measure to. It's like that. What is it? The fourth point in space?
I have no idea.
Well, I just remember like on Stargate. You
Okay.
have, you triangulate a space, and then you have a point that makes a point in space, but then you don't have anything to go to from there, so you have to measure it. I don't even know what I'm talking about.
This is too deep for me.
I know.
I've never seen Stargate.
What? Oh, you gotta go watch it after this. That's great.
My friends love Battlestar. So,
yeah.
Not the same thing, but also another nerd space opera. But I'm all about them nerd space operas. I've been all about a series called Red Rising. I don't know if you're into reading fiction at all, but if you're looking for a cool kind of space opera-y type book, Red Rising is where it's at.
Nice. I'll check it out.
It's good stuff.
Reminds me of Red Dwarf.
Red Dwarf. I feel like I should know what Red Dwarf is.
UK satire, like space satire.
Ah.
It's like, like British humor. This lady's ears are low.
She does. Her face is just, all these faces. Compliments to Luigi Lucarelli for these awesome concepts.
Yay, Luigi.
It's a me.
Yeah, he just posted these today.
Oh, did he? Okay.
So yeah, so
got hot off the press concepts, right?
Ben and I hopped on these. We're just like, all right, those need to be sculpted right now.
I mean, I was gonna sculpt a llama, so I mean,
That's true.
I mean, I'm much happier with this, honestly.
I gotta get this thick neck going on. You got a thick neck on him too.
Yeah, he's a big boy.
Thick neck brigade.
Sure. All right, we're gonna do some angle changing over here. Figure out a couple things. Yes, all about the thick necks. That's why we chose both of these. I'm just sculpting my future self here.
when you get a thick neck.
Yeah, once I get swole, I've been going to the gym a little, doing those neck exercises. I don't know if you've ever seen those things, but they look super painful. Honestly, I don't know who does those.
Yeah, is there such thing as neck exercises?
Yeah, there is.
I guess so. Yeah, I've seen those people like hang.
But I don't know why. I don't know why you would ever want to get a swole neck. I don't know, it seems like the opposite of what you would want, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not a very big guy. I don't know if you could tell, but I don't, do a ton of weightlifting. Oddly enough, though, I always, just because it's so easy, I think, I always do analogies of exercise for when I'm trying to talk about certain concepts, just because I think it's something that everybody deep down understands. Like we have all these like miracle diet products, right? But obviously none of them actually work. The whole objective is what? I'm on like 5
They don't.
But the whole point being that deep down everybody knows that it's all about, there are two things you have to do: diet and exercise, right? Same thing with like practice and study, right? You want to get better. It's not a secret. Everybody knows. It's just a matter of time.
Right. And there's people that ask me if I can draw, or if I draw much, and my answer is kind of in the same lines as that. Is I only have so much time in my life to dedicate to learning certain things.
Right.
And I've decided to just I used to draw a lot, but now I've just kind of decided I'm going to focus on sculpting, and sculpting is it. So I've gone away from drawing, although I know they both live in the same neighborhood as far as skill set goes,
Right.
But I don't
they're
know
different.
why.
They're different mediums, right?
Yeah. Well, and different thought processes, like trying to get 3D on a 2D page.
Yeah,
it's like another step.
In all honesty, I don't think drawing and sculpting are like related at all. if I'm giving my personal opinion, I don't think drawing and sculpting, like, I don't think there's any transference in skill between those other than the ability to see. I think that's like literally the only thing that transfers. But you might have a different opinion, and you can feel free to.
No, it's the same actually.
Yeah. So I always tell people that if you want to be a sculptor or 3D modeler, you should stop wasting time drawing and practice the one thing that you want to be. But if you want to get better at drawing or painting, like, by all means, go for it. You can do multiple things.
Sure. Yeah, it's just a different skill set. It's like learning guitar while you're learning sculpting. It's funny because that's where my analogies always go to, is learning a musical instrument.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Which is like, practicing anything.
I own a guitar. So
yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, thanks.
Step one.
You're right. Yeah, exactly. I do own a guitar. I used to play it. I do not anymore. Not at all. Too many other things that I got to do, and want to do, I should say. More so.
That's a good look right there. You should stop.
Yeah, let me just go back. Beautiful.
Yeah, he was like wall-eyed.
Beautiful little clown, man. Got to get past that alien phase, right?
Yes. Yeah, we, as Ryan Kingsland likes to say, get out of the valley of the suck.
Yes, I have heard him say that before.
The valley of the suck. I think I'm going to try something with this one, and because I typically block out with as few shapes as I need, like not very many. But with this one, she has so much going on with multiple shapes in her face. I might add more. Like I might give her an actual brow shape, like floating. You know what I mean? Like a separate piece,
extra subtool,
and maybe some jowls, and maybe her chin.
I'm into
just
it.
as separate pieces. I might try that. I usually don't, but with her, she's telling me to.
Very. She looks like she would tell you what's up, for sure.
You better be putting no more shapes on my face. All right.
Yes, dear. My guy, I'm just trying to get as much in as quick as I can. I don't typically have, like a ton of direction at the beginning. It's more of just get something on the canvas and go, and then reassess later. So it's not about being pretty at the beginning. It's kind of like laying a foundation. It doesn't look good, but it's just about getting something on the canvas, like I said.
Right. That's my same approach, but with more simple. I was going to say simplex. That's a word. Simplex. Simple but complex.
My simplex shapes, yes.
So
sounds like the new diet program that I'm going to sign up for.
Yeah, I'm going to actually give her nostril shapes.
Ooh,
I usually don't.
I like it. I tried to Z-remesh and my computer, I think, just said no to that. Well, I'll just hang out here for a minute while... Ooh, there we go. Now it's progressing.
All right. I'm like, no. Yeah, we have multiple things happening on both of our machines.
Yeah, luckily I have a decent setup here. And luckily you don't really need a lot for ZBrush.
Right. It's all CPU based.
All CPU. Give me that CPU and RAM and I'm good to go.
Yeah.
All right, give me this big bone boy. Now.
Yeah, I was just going to do that to check my proportions.
Check a couple things here.
I think her nose is too low.
Just going to go low poly. Start getting away from Dynamesh now. Start getting some cleaner shapes.
Do you always start with Dynamesh that way? Typically?
It depends. I mean, not always. I mean, typically what I do is I just jump back and forth between Dynamesh and Z-Remesher on a need-to basis. So I just released a video kind of talking a little bit about that process, just because I get asked, when do I use what all the time?
Oh, right, yeah.
Really, it's just like, at least for me, I just, it's more so just understanding the tool really well.
Yep.
And then kind of just being able to act upon knowing when to use which part. So it's not like I don't think there's a rule book that you could write on, when to use which one.
Right.
At, every specific instance, just because there's so many different things that you can sculpt and create, and it'd be impossible to, lay out every if A then B scenario. Right.
It's like my old art director said, he always used to say art is messy, and it just means that there's no step by step. I mean, for example, you're taking a completely different path than I am, but hopefully the end result will be, an appealing character. And it doesn't, like, the path doesn't matter really. It's the destination, So yeah, it's really interesting to watch other people and how they, go about reaching their goals. Because there's so many different ways to do it. And I get the same questions like, when do I do this? When do I do that? And the answer is whenever you feel like it.
Yeah, kind of.
When you feel like it's time, that's when you do it.
It's kind of true.
Yeah.
The tough answer.
Because honestly, I used to use Dynamesh all the time, and I don't really use Dynamesh that much anymore.
Yeah. I pretty much, like, once I get farther in the process, it's more of just like using it as like a quick Boolean or something really quick that I'm like, oh, I pinched here and my geometry is destroyed. Whoops, let's just quickly fix that with a Dynamesh.
Right. I've been using the Sculptress Pro mode for that.
Yeah, that's a pretty cool tool. For
the fixes, you know? I'm just like, whenever I really like the Z remeshing, especially with the new algorithms, you know, from 2019. And so I've been using that quite a bit, but that it just makes you run out of geometry really quickly in certain cases. So sometimes you just have to go, all right, I'm out of geometry, so I'm going to have to either Dynamesh at this point, which will rebuild the entire mesh, which is usually what I don't want.
Right.
Or I can just go into Sculptress Pro mode and just start adding more geometry that way, which helps a lot.
Yeah, the literal only reason that I don't use Sculptress Pro is because it doesn't like auto masking features, and I use them constantly on all of my brushes.
Oh, really? Like backface mask and that kind of stuff, or
yeah, pretty much.
Really?
Backface mask. I'm not a huge fan of the what's it called, like mask by polygroups and stuff like that, because I just find it quicker and easier to mask off with a brush. But then also, if you end up using an auto masking tool like that, then you can't use like a really large move brush or something and like slightly grab on one other subtool and just like barely tug with the edge of your brush. If you know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
So you can't do a lot of that stuff with auto masking, but there are a lot of things that I like using auto masking for. But that's pretty much it. The only reason I don't. But I've played around with it and I really like it. I think it's fun. But my workflow, like I said, I'm one of those crotchety old men that, you know, I'm stuck in my ways. I'm not. Yeah. I refuse to change. I will not.
I will not. You cannot make me. That's how a lot of people are with learning ZBrush in general. They just don't, you know, if they're like...
I just saw a post the other day that was like, why can't I just press delete on my keyboard and it deletes this thing? I'm like, I don't know. It's not the software you want it to be. It is what it is. And yeah, you're going to have to learn to use it that way.
Why doesn't it work like Maya? That's the biggest thing. I think it's actually harder for people to learn ZBrush that are coming from a traditional modeling program like Maya or Max or whatever.
If you're already, you know, used to it in some regard.
Like I came to ZBrush from a traditional modeling background, and it took me a while to get into it. But once I learned it and figured it out, then I'm just like, why doesn't Maya do this? You know? And
I'm gonna go to the Maya community and start yelling at them.
Yeah. Why doesn't it? But like the tumble, I was just talking about this the other day. Why doesn't the camera tumble?
Based on where you click it on the geometry?
So the camera inside of ZBrush is based on a trackball style method, and in Maya it's locked to the up axis, so you can't spin it like this.
Right. You pretty much have it locked on the Y axis or whatever.
Right.
Which
you can only
yeah.
So when I go to Maya, I'm just like, why can't I do this? I want to spin it, because you know you have like, depending on if you're left-handed or right-handed, you have one superior stroke in your arm based on where your elbow is, you know, and you have a nice arc in your arm, and what you want to do is orient your model to where that superior stroke's going to happen, you know?
Right. I don't even think about it anymore. I just kind of do it. But and I do know what you're talking about.
So anyway,
I pretty much I'm sure you do this as well. You like sculpt on one side of your model a lot more than you would on the other. Like you favor one side just because you're maybe right-handed or left.
Yeah, I always work on the character's left side, and it is the opposite of what ZBrush wants me to do, because it wants to mirror from screen left to screen right, and I'm always working on the
positive to the
side.
negative. Yeah.
Yeah.
But luckily they did fix that to where mirror and weld now work.
Oh, both ways, right?
Yeah.
So what do you? I haven't done that yet. What do you do to make it do that?
So if you check out my screen really quick. So if you actually have geometry over there and do a mirror and weld, it will still do it from left to right or positive to negative. But if you don't have geometry over there, it will recognize that you want it to mirror over to that side. So it's just it's a
okay.
It's not.
I thought it was a hold down the Alt to make it do that or whatever.
I don't think so.
Okay.
As far as I know, actually, that just like grabbed my menu, alt clicking menus and pulling those off to the side. It's always fun. Yeah, you would still have to mirror and then mirror and weld to put that information over there. But if you do have geometry on one side and not the other, you can mirror and weld it like you would normally.
Cool. I'll have to check that out. Learning something new.
Well, it's just like not even a thing that should have ever been a thing. It just should have, you know. It seems like a small thing, but on the back end, I'm sure it's, a lot more complicated, which is how a lot of that stuff is. Everybody's always asking for, specific features, but it's typically a lot more complicated than what it looks like on the outside looking in.
Right. I think this is working out. Got her bubbly face.
She's beautiful. Now, beautiful. I think you're using some kind of skin shade 4 material-esque.
I am, yep. Skin shade 4.
So do you typically sculpt with that the entire time?
Nope. When I'm getting, I like it because I can see it's all bright and whatever, but it doesn't allow me to see my forms as well. So sometimes I'll switch over to Zebro Gray or Zebro Modeling.
Yeah, he's got some awesome materials. I actually go ahead.
And then I turn object shadow down, so there's no shadows underneath, so I can actually see what I'm doing. So those are the ones I typically go with Zebro Gray. This one right here.
Nice, yeah, that's a good material.
Because it allows me to see the surfaces. That's when I'm just kind of getting in there and like just buttering the heck out of it, So
yeah, the reason I ask is because it's often difficult for me to see form with the skin shade material.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a great material for just like poly paint color and style. Yeah. Right. For coloring your character and anything like that. But it's often difficult for me to see.
Yeah.
What's actually going on.
All right. I don't know. I just like the brightness and the color of it.
Right.
And then there's all Zebro Paint, which is similar.
That's the one that I use actually.
Yeah. This one right here. But that kind of blows you out a little too much. See if you don't have any color on there, it just kind of blows it out.
It does. That's probably why I don't like it too much for sculpting with, at least in the beginning. I have done models in color from the very beginning, just to kind of play around with them and experiment with sculpting in color. I don't know if you've ever done that from like the really early stages. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, I actually tend to add color way earlier than most people I've watched. Just because I feel like color has weight.
It definitely helps, I think, just visually being able to see proportions.
Yeah, like I could go grab her skin color and just fill it in, just for fun.
Yeah, but definitely helps.
Yeah, and I'm not working on just some gray thing.
Some gray blob.
Yeah. All right, I need to. I'm going to merge this together. What I do at this point is I will use the remesh by, what is it called? Remesh by union, right here. And that will stitch everything together.
Nice. Yeah. I don't use that feature too often.
So I'll show you what it does. So, well, I'm glad I showed you this because I need to actually Z-remesh first to make all of the parts be the similar density. Yeah, because it's not doing a good
so
job.
Then it ends up, adding in a lot of tries everywhere just to try to stitch everything.
Yeah.
Right.
So I need to Z-remesh first.
So that remesh by union, it looks like, so that's a deformer now, but I think that used to just straight up be a thing that you could do, that you would activate similarly to Dynamesh with IMM brushes. I don't know if you remember that.
I don't.
Where you could just drop an IMM brush on a piece of geometry and control click and drag as if you were Dynameshing it. I think
yeah. I know what you're saying.
It's kind of like an old feature that like doesn't really serve a purpose anymore because we have like a lot more powerful and organized tools. Like you were just looking at the deformer list there.
Right. There you go. So now it's all kind of evenly distributed.
Got everything combined up.
Then I'll stitch it. So pull these out. Yeah, see, I like doing it this way just so I can keep all of my shapes nice and smooth. Then I call it the Preston Blair method. If you remember, I'm like talking like I'm streaming. If you remember those old animation books, I don't know, they're like really thin and big. He was like a traditional animator on like Tom and Jerry, and I think he worked at Disney for a while, and he
just worked with like simple shapes or something.
Yeah, it's like how to draw, It's like those old how-to books.
Very nice.
Okay, see how the stitch is much better now?
Nice, yeah. I like it.
So then I just hit accept, but anytime you do something like that, it shuts your symmetry off. And I always forget to turn it back on.
Really? That's interesting.
Yeah.
One of those weird little things.
I can Z-remesh again. Oh, but more. I don't know why it didn't keep my poly groups, though, when I did my remesh by union.
I know.
Usually does.
It's an annoying one.
Yeah. Because then I can use my poly groups to Z-remesh with, but...
Right.
Oh, there it is. Okay, there it goes. That's weird.
One thing that I like to do is get some quick poly paint on my eyes, just so I can get a feeling for the direction and scale.
Yeah, yep.
The way your character's looking. Just something quick. Also, it's fun to make them nice and bug-eyed in the beginning.
For sure. It's like derpy. That's why I Z-remeshed it without hitting keep groups, so it made everything one group. That's
why. There you go.
That's the deal. I'm like, what did I do? It's what I didn't do.
Gotta IT myself all the time and figure out how I broke my character.
I'm like, in it kind of with ZBrush, there isn't a hole you can't dig yourself out of.
Yeah, fairly often I avoid that undo key as much as I can.
If you know where the shovels are, you can dig yourself out.
Right. Yeah, I don't think you need really to undo very often. Like, if it's obviously an accidental stroke of some kind, I think you can undo that. But if I'm sculpting on something and I don't like the way it's looking, I will just I'll just like keep sculpting on it. I'm not gonna continue to take steps backwards.
Just kind of freight train over the top of it and keep going. Yeah. Well, that's kind of like traditional clay, right? You can just
no undoing traditional clay, right?
Yeah, you just keep going.
You have to. All right, starting to get some more pieces in over here. Catching up to you. I am a pretty slow sculptor in my opinion. I just take my time with things.
That's what you should do. I get criticized for being too fast.
That can't be a thing.
Take your time. Yeah, because sometimes I'm just like, I'm Mr. Production. I'm just gonna bust this thing out.
Right.
It's like, no, take your time. Do a good job. Okay. It's like two sides of the coin, right?
Well, I guess I don't try to, but I do just obsess over form as much as I can. Maybe a little OCD, but not anything really too crazy. You know, I will sit and like work on something to, you know, if it's at a point where it's good enough, it's not good enough. Like good enough isn't essentially. Like,
right.
I need that silhouette to match, like perfectly. It needs to not just feel like the same character. It needs to actually be the same character.
Right.
Which is, I think, kind of the turning point for a lot of artists, just because I don't know what it is, because I don't remember when it happened to me, but I can look back on old work and see things that I thought was quote good enough, right? And, and I'm sure you see people submit artwork, or you know, you have a lot of students and everything, so people that think something looks good enough, but it's just, you know, it's not anywhere near to what you're actually looking for. Just that ability to see is like such a weird thing. It's hard to describe to people that have not experienced that. But I'm sure you have.
It's even harder to teach.
It is. It's because it's something that just comes with with time.
Yeah, you just need to figure it out. You know, like and it comes from practice and just the ability to see, like you said. You know, and it just takes practice, and it just takes, I think it takes a lot of feedback too, like of people that can see, or like pointing out, no, this is wrong. So that kind of helps a lot too.
Absolutely.
Let's see.
And lots of draw-overs.
Yeah. Yep.
I draw over my own stuff all the time. Like, self-critique. Like when I learned how to self-critique my own stuff, obviously I wasn't good at it at first, because I think it's a difficult skill, but once you build that skill up, it's an invaluable skill.
Oh, sure. Yep. And it's funny too, because when it was kind of a thing I didn't realize was going to happen, but when you teach it like we do, you become an art director all of a sudden.
Yeah,
you know,
you do.
Like giving feedback to students. All of a sudden, you're just like, oh, I wasn't expecting to give all this feedback and be an art director. You know?
Yeah.
Which is kind of interesting. What in the world?
What we need to name our characters. I mean, obviously, you have your diner waitress or server.
If she wasn't kind of Latino looking, I would name her Flo.
Ooh, that's a good one. I like it.
But since she's kind of Latinish, I think something else would be more appropriate.
How about Gabriella?
There you go.
I'm feeling a Gabriella. It's just the first one that came to mind.
That works.
But her friends call her Gabby.
And then I think the Flo from that commercial kind of ruined the name Flo for everybody.
Whatever insurance that is.
Right.
Gosh, it's just been so long since I've seen like a TV commercial kind of like that.
Yeah.
Now nobody owns, or not very many people have cable anymore.
Right.
But there's still the classics, the classic commercials like Flo. It's a good one. All right. Got a little bit of a rhino horn for a nose up
nice.
Here. I'm gonna chop this up.
It's working.
Except it's not. Shane, you don't need to lie to me. I know when something's not working. I'll just take care of it later. I'm just gonna give it to you and let you fix it.
Just hide. I'm just gonna hide stuff for you to have to deal with.
Oh no, I didn't do that. What's going on here? Why can't I split?
Like just jack up these nostrils. That's what I'm gonna do. It's such a hard thing to deal with.
Yeah, it's where those 2D fundamentals really come in handy when you only have a single view for a character just to be able to interpret a lot of this form and try to figure some of that out. It's tough. It's tough, but comes with practice, as everything else. Let's see. My dude, you need some lower lids, don't you? So, when you are working on your characters, do you have a mouth bag on her?
I do, but not in the traditional way. I just push it in far enough so the lips work like they should.
Gotcha.
That's it. I don't like sit and try and figure out the entire mouth shape at this point.
Gotcha.
Because it's not necessary. And I'm going to be retopologizing it anyway later.
Oh, okay. There you go.
So, yeah, I just get it good enough that it'll work, you know?
Right. I completely butcher my character, and I chop them in half at the head.
Oh, yeah.
to create my mouth bag.
Yeah, I do during retopology for sure.
Oh yeah, that would.
But
it's
not,
definitely tough.
Not when I'm sculpting, really.
Right. Trying to blend your little schnoz here, my dude. Figure out a couple more shapes here. Big old trapezoid head here. I'm going to get some more parts and pieces on this guy soon. I like to struggle in the mud for some time.
Yeah, it makes it worth it. Makes you, yeah.
Often I think people try to get out of the muddy phase like too quick. I don't know what your opinion is on that, but I think it's good to like just stay in that super early stage, like just trying to figure stuff out.
Yeah, it depends on the character really for me. But I try and just get the forms as close as possible before I go anywhere. You know, I think that's what the biggest difference is between somebody who's experienced and somebody who's not. Is, you know, just like, I'm just going to start making details and hide all my flaws. You know, or they don't even realize that they have flaws.
Texture and stuff is good at that, hiding flaws.
Right. But yeah, you can't use that as a crutch because people see right through it.
The people that matter do.
Yeah, that's true.
The people that are going to, you know, possibly if you're looking for a job or whatever.
Right.
Maybe not your average Joe Schmo.
Yeah, maybe not your mom.
Now, I do use a lot of primitives, kind of like you, for a lot of different parts, but more so just for that main head shape. I'm like, just Dynamesh that. Just give that a nice old blob there and go. But I like to use, specifically for my eyelids, I have this cube tube brush that I love.
Cube tube?
Yes. It's my
I need a t-shirt that says that.
Yes. It's a great brush. It's essentially like a curve tube, but it's a cube. And it's just clean. I don't know if you're familiar with the curve tube brush at all with the brush modifiers, but you can actually turn it into a cube. I don't know if you...
Oh, I haven't messed with it too much. Not enough to know.
So the curve tube brush, it's like that snaky, snaky curve brush. But if you go into your brush modifiers, wherever it is, that number, it's set to 8 by default. That number actually defines how many sided that shape is. So if you set it to like 3, you have a little triangle tube of geometry. But unfortunately, if you try to do a cube with it, it kind of breaks it up and it gives it like these ugly end caps where it triangulates everything, and it's just kind of really
it's
dense.
More like a diamond.
Right. So, gosh, my throat. I have this cube tube brush that pretty much does the same thing, but it's just a tri-parts welded brush that's nice and clean.
Cool.
I love it. It's good stuff.
Yeah.
Her earlobes are off her head. I was gonna say off the chain, but they are off her head.
Yeah. The lobes.
It's all about the lobes.
I need that. Yeah, those ear shapes are not even close to what they're supposed to be, but hey, they're in there.
That's what matters. In the beginning. Eventually they will look right.
Do you, when you're streaming, do you get a lot of art directors?
No, not really.
Give you advice on like, hey, your ears aren't shaped correctly, or
probably sometimes, but I don't think
Not
it's
too
very
much.
often. No backseat drivers.
Yeah.
And even if I did, I don't think it would bother me.
It doesn't bother me, but it's just I appreciate the feedback, and I always thank them for the feedback, but it's just sometimes I'm just like, well, I've been working on this for an hour.
Yeah, this is a character that I'm creating, so it takes a little bit of time.
Right. I'm just like, we'll get there, bro. We'll get there.
Yeah, one thing at a time.
Yeah.
But you're welcome to sculpt along if you want.
Yeah. I might do a second. I don't know. I think I'm going to need to do Sculptress Pro with his neck underneath here. We'll see how it goes.
Get the, what's it called? The little rooster gobbler.
Yeah.
Dangly bits.
Dangly bits.
Yeah. All right, my dude. We're going to fix your nose and then give you a mouth.
So we've been going 42 minutes so far.
We have.
Not bad, not bad.
Good chunk of time. It goes by quick.
It does.
It always goes by quick when I'm sculpting. But like I said, I try not to rush things too much. Don't worry, I'll give you something nice and clean by the time it gets to you. I promise. I won't give you a Dynamesh disaster.
Yeah, could you decimate that before you give it to me? What is this?
Decimate it down to 0.1%.
Yeah.
There you go. Good luck.
Thanks. Here you go.
Decimation's really cool though. You can.
Oh yeah.
You're just trying to do some cool like poly shapes. You can get some cool stuff out of it.
Especially for 3D printing.
Right. Yeah. You can pretty much get the exact same result at a very small fraction of the poly count.
Right. I love the fact that you can now sculpt on a decimated model with Sculptress Pro.
Yeah, that's crazy. That like blows my mind. How it just
Yeah.
Dynamically gives you new topology only in that spot where you stroke.
Right.
And that technology has been around for a while, but just the fact
Sure.
that it's here in ZBrush is very nice. But yeah, if you decimate something and you're like, wait, I need to go back and add this, it's like, oh, you can still do that.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I might. I always like, it's a stopping point, right? You're like, to Sculptress Pro or not to Sculptress Pro, because I'm to the point now where I want to start putting in kind of that nose meat, going from the nose down to the chin, that creates the lower eyelid and then these smile lines. And I obviously don't have enough geometry, and it's going the wrong direction. So I could either try and Z-remesh it and help it along and make it go the right direction, or I could go into Sculptress Pro and just say, we're just going to do this now.
Decisions.
Trying to decide. Always, because once you go Sculptress Pro, you can't go back. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
It's just like Dynamesh. It's a bridge. Once you cross it, then you have to do other things to bring it back.
Mm-hmm.
So
typically the way I work is I just make a decision and then force myself to be happy with that decision later.
Yeah, that's true too. Yeah. I think I'm just going to Sculpt Pro it.
This is future me's problem. Go ahead and just do this now.
Right. Because and also once you close the mouth, it's really hard to Z-remesh it.
Yes, it is.
After
it's
that.
Very frustrating to work with mouths in general when you don't know what you might be doing with it later.
Right, right. Okay, so I'm going to duplicate this off in case you want to go back to it. And here we go. Sculpt Pro business. I kind of wish Smooth didn't work with Sculpt Pro.
Oh yeah,
Like
I think you can.
I know there's a
turn that off.
a way to turn it off. Yeah, there's a way to turn it off.
I don't use it enough to know how though.
Yeah.
We got like 10 minutes left here before we'll do a swapinski. So I'm trying to think, what all can I do here before giving this off to you? Probably just do a quick little decimation, destroy everything, pass it your way, act like it was always like that.
I meant to do that.
Getting too concentration-y. Like when I'm doing my own streams, there will just be moments where I get like inches away from my tablet and just complete silence.
Yeah.
It's so hard to sculpt and talk at the same time, and just
it is.
There's all the Let's Players, right, that are like, oh, it's so hard to play video games and talk. And like okay, all right, I'm so sure. No, I'm sure it is, but like try some art and talk.
Right. Yeah, I'm probably taking her to the little bit of details too soon, but I want to. Just because she has these so unique landmarks with her jowls and things that you almost need to get them there to compare them to everything else,
Yeah, she's got some like a very heavy. I don't even know. It's not really I don't know if that would even be a nasolabial fold. It's just so strong coming down, flip framing the mouth there. Lots of saggy bits for sure.
Yep.
Gabriella Saggy Bits. That's the name. What you do back here? Alright. Time to clean this guy up a little. Down to the wire.
9 minutes? 11 minutes. Just shape her eyelids better. All right, I'm doing a big change. I'm going to widen her whole head. Something like that.
Yeah,
it's funny too because her neck goes clear up to the back of her head, like
past like the ear there. It's the way up there. Yeah, I love. Typically, what I'll do is I'll just push a change like further than obviously what it needs, but it really just helps my eye see kind of where I need to fix some stuff.
Right. I will. I kind of equate it to like cracking a safe when you're trying to figure out a character's likeness. You know, you're like trying to turn the dial to listen for the clicks, and you know that's part of it, is pulling the shapes beyond what you think they should be, just to exaggerate them.
Right.
So then you can go like, oh, there he is, you know,
right,
or there she is. Or have you seen Hook, the movie Hook with Robin Williams?
I have seen Hook. Yeah, I was gonna say the older one. Yeah.
Yeah, with Robin Williams, with that little kid that grabs his face and like starts to pull on his face, and he's like, "Oh, there you are, Peter." You know, that's kind of like the same thing I get when I'm making a character, and when I either accidentally or purposefully come across something that really makes that character feel or look like that character, you know, it's like, oh, there you are.
Find you eventually.
Yeah. Cracking the code.
It's the sequel to the Da Vinci Code, the Gabriella Code.
Your lips taller. You know when it's working? If it starts cracking you up.
That's how you know it's good.
Yeah.
I love using Transpose Master a lot.
Uh-huh.
In those earlier stages. Just trying to move a bunch of stuff around all at once when you just have so many subtools. I find it extremely lucrative to use lots of subtools. I think it's a really good idea. I think people make that mistake early on. They're kind of new and don't really know exactly don't really have a workflow in ZBrush quite yet. But I just find it extremely helpful. Like pretty much what I always say is, when in doubt, split it out. It's just like, you don't know if you can't figure out that shape, just try to like break it down into multiple subtools and different parts, and you'll figure it out eventually.
Right.
Give it a second, you'll get there.
I usually split my subtools apart by material.
Ooh.
So if something's metal or leather or skin or hair or whatever, eyeballs, you know, if it's made of something else, split it out.
That's good. That's a good way to go about it too.
The way I do it.
I think eventually I get there, but I've never really thought of it that way. Just kind of think of it as like, big shape go here, big shape be split.
Right.
They've added all these new features to the Spotlight 3D tool, and I played with them, but I just don't use them too often. And now when I'm looking at my transpose wheel, I just get a little confused. Like, okay, gotta find out where this is. But I think it's called Snapshot 3D, if I remember correctly. But
yeah, to make actual new geometry from
masks.
2D.
It's pretty crazy.
Right.
And from what I've seen from hard surface sculptors, it's just like what you can accomplish very quickly. It's pretty amazing.
Right.
It's not something that I would personally, delve into too much, just because it's not something that I work in very often. But it's a very cool tool. It's how a lot of tools are, though. I mean, there's so much, you just got to figure out what works into your personal workflow.
Yeah, I usually just get stuck on just a small handful of brushes, like basically move and pinch and smooth.
Yeah. Pinch and trim are pretty much all I use for planing stuff out. And then I start using some others to like figure out volumes and things like that. But yeah, pretty much just about 4 or 5 brushes and you're set.
I use this fill a lot when I get to the final stages where I just need to fill in an area.
A fill brush or?
Yeah, it's this fill brush right here. It's kind of like a soft clay buildup.
Okay.
Where it's super duper subtle and it doesn't leave marks. It's just like it's kind of like an inflate brush, but it's along a stroke, like the clay buildup.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the inflate brush, but I love clay brushes.
Yeah, so that it works kind of like the clay buildup.
Inflate is just so hard for me to control because it just normally kind of bubbles out real hard. And
yeah, I use it on a super light setting and usually large.
Yeah, that tends to work for me as well. But the standard settings for that kind of freak out whenever I use them, or when I try to use them. I shouldn't say use them, because that would imply some form of skill or finesse. But that's probably like a. How are you feeling about your sculpt right now?
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Good place to go ahead and
look like something you can play with.
Yeah, I'll send you this. I'm gonna zero mesh it really quick and get some polys back because I just had to mirror and weld. That's the one thing that I would love to have, a feature that you can fix other than Smart Resim, because that thing does not work for me.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you've ever used it, but some kind of symmetry tool that you can use that will keep subdivision levels while you're going. I don't know if you know any tool or process for that. Like
to fix symmetry?
Yeah.
With subdivision levels? I usually don't have subdivision levels until the very, very, very end.
Ah, okay. Well, there you go.
Yeah. So I can always
screw subdivision levels, Shane says. That's his strategy.
Yep.
It's a good strategy. I like it.
Because as soon as you add a subdivision level, you lose the ability to use a ton of different tools.
You do, yes.
Like all of the Z-modeler tools do not work anymore.
Right.
Sorry, I just saw this. I want to pull it in.
You're fine.
And then you can't, like, you can no longer clip, like with the trim curve. You can't do any of that stuff. So, the only time I will add subdivision levels is towards the end when I need to add any surface detail.
Gotcha.
That's beyond your little cuts like this, like if you're actually going to do a carve or a chisel into the surface, that's when I'll do it. Or if I need to add some kind of a stamp or something that is not just a gradient in the color, that's when I'll add subdivision levels.
Right, when you need poly paint resolution.
Yeah, like I can't poly paint these. Well, I guess I could now with Sculptress Pro, but typically you can't.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
Paint the nice tight edge on these lips.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to do that. But anyway, all right. But I will package this up and ship it off.
All right. Well,
that'll be good times.
I think our workflows will probably be a little bit different, so we'll probably end up destroying a few things along the way.
Yeah, it'll be fun to kind of, because I will probably start with what you have and do some different things with it, and then you'll probably do the same thing with mine. It'll be fun.
It will. We'll have to. We will play around with our new friends. I'll take Gabriella, and you can have Derek. His name is Derek. I don't know why, but I'm feeling Derek.
Oh, eyeballs. Sorry, one more silhouette thing. I'm like, I can't let it go. There we go. All right.
Yeah, there's so much more I want to do, and there always is. But I will
don't stop.
Entrust it to you. I will give it into your hands.
Saving it as.
Beautiful. All right. Well, that seems like a good place to swap.
All right. Cool. Sounds good. Well, thanks. We'll see you in the next hour.
All right.
All right.
Hey, what's up? I'm back here at the end of the video just to say toodaloo. Again, just a friendly reminder, go check out Shane's channel. I'm going to put a link down in the description as well as a link to Luigi Lucarelli's work. If you guys want to see more of my stuff, you can obviously click the subscribe button or check out my Gumroad. There's a link somewhere on the screen or down below. I don't know where I'll put it, but check it out. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time where Shane and I try to do the same thing and swap our sculpts and continue working on them. Until then, you guys have a great rest of your day. See ya.